my name is ParentingTo Imami, and I'm the host of The Road to Success for Your Highly Sensitive Child. This podcast is about empowering parents of highly sensitive children to nurture their child's unique personality trait and create a path to success. Our podcast provides guidance, insights, and support to help you unlock your child's full potential, fostering resilience, confidence, and a bright future. If you're new to my podcast, please go back and listen to episodes 1 and 2 because they provide information on high sensitivity that all subsequent episodes will build upon. To book a private coaching session with me, please visit my website at ParentingHSC.com. I wanted to quickly share another podcast I think you would love. It's called Talking to Teens, Expert Tips for Parenting Teenagers. If you enjoy our deep dives into emotional intelligence and communication strategies, you'll find tons of value here. Each episode features a different expert offering practical advice on teen behavior, self-esteem, and navigating those intense emotions, challenges that often parallel what we discuss on this show. It's hosted by Andy Earl, and you can find it at talkingtoteens.com. Okay, let's get started. Have you ever found yourself in a relationship that started like a dream, intense, exciting, and deeply validating, only to slowly unravel into something confusing, painful, and even toxic? If you're a highly sensitive person, you may have noticed a pattern. You attract people who seem drawn to your empathy, your kindness, and your deep capacity for love. But over time, they leave you feeling drained, manipulated, or even questioning your own reality. Why does this happen? And more importantly, how can you break free from this cycle? In today's episode, we're diving into one of the most complex and painful dynamics out there, the attraction between highly sensitive people and narcissists. And I'm joined by a powerful guest, Marla, who has lived through this firsthand herself. She'll be sharing her deeply personal experience of being married to a narcissist, how she realized what was happening, and how she found the strength to walk away. We'll also explore why highly sensitive people are particularly vulnerable to narcissistic relationships, the red flags to watch out for, and how to set boundaries that protect your peace without losing your beautiful sensitivity. If you've ever wondered, why do I keep attracting toxic relationships, or how do I stop being a magnet for narcissists, this episode is for you. So let's get started. Welcome, Marla. I'm so excited to have you here.
Hello, ParentingTo.
You're such an amazing person to be here with us, being vulnerable, being courageous, and sharing your story with us. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm very, very excited, and this topic needs to be discussed on a way bigger scale. As we know that their timeline is collapsing, but like now's the time for us really to speak out and heal out loud.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And this is really, it's really, I feel like my life is always divinely guided. And I feel like you came into my life at such an amazing time because, this topic is so important now, especially in the, political world that we're experiencing in the United States right now. And so I feel like this topic is more important now than it has ever been. And so it's just amazing. I wasn't even, supposed to be doing this episode until a few months from now. But then when I came to, when I learned about you and your experience, I just had a divine calling, to do this episode sooner than later. And I reached out to you in such a short notice, and you agreed to be here with me. So thank you. I'm so, so grateful to you. And thank you for agreeing to be my guest, on such short notice. And thank you again for really, truly, it's such a courageous thing that you're doing for sharing your story and, helping our listeners understand what narcissistic behavior is like, how to look out for it, and all of that. So I'm very excited to get into it with you.
Thank you. Me too. And like you're saying, you're divinely guided. I am too. So I know this meeting was meant to be, especially given where we met. Like it's all too perfect,
Yeah, for sure. For sure. So let's start by sharing your story. So just give us a little bit about your background and how you met your ex-husband.
Okay, well, we're still married, so that's fun. But basically he and I met and it was amazing from the get-go, but we were both emotionally, not connected to ourselves and we were living in lower levels of consciousness. And so, the way that we bonded was through food, through alcohol. We had a lot of toxic friends. And so I thought that our life was great and grand, but the more that I started to evolve and he evolved with me, we changed our lifestyle habits. So I had no reason to believe that, things weren't good. We changed our lifestyle habits together and, everything was going really well. And then when a couple people in his family died from cancer, it opened us up, to our own healing. But then I found out in 2020 that he was living a double life. And so everything kind of flipped when everything was so perfect in my eyes. And yeah, we had issues like every marriage does at first, or whatever, but I never thought anything of it until I found out about the narcissist piece. Because I just thought he was a porn addict. And, when I found that part out years and years ago, there wasn't TikTok around. There was no info around for me to really know that I had been living in betrayal trauma since the beginning of our relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And it was because of the gaslighting and the manipulation that he was able to just tell me, with words, I'm sorry, I love you, baby. And I would kind of, he would able to brush it under the rug. And I didn't understand that those were building resentments in me already, So there were some things along the marriage, but overall it was a good marriage. And then in 2020, I literally said to God, I want my marriage to be better. I want there to be more pizzazz. And instead, I got on a silver platter that he had been living a double life.
Mm-hmm.
And for about 2.5, almost 3 years, he made me believe that we were healing from that. And because I still wasn't emotionally in tune, he was able to still gaslight me. And so it wasn't until I was scrolling on TikTok one day that I started coming across more videos. And the covert narcissist piece specifically spoke to my soul. And I said, this is why he has not been able to take accountability. This is why, we've been going in circles and there's been no resolution. And I'm fighting to save the relationship, but he's fighting to keep his addiction and, but yeah, so everything was great. And then the typical, Jekyll and Hyde. So now I'm seeing the complete opposite of him without the mask. And that's where I'm living now. We've been 2 months apart and he's in a different state and I'm in my own environment. And since I've been in my own environment for about these 3 months, my gifts have increased. And I know again too, that's no coincidence why we met, because I've been saying to God, I don't know what to do. He left me in shambles, but I know I'm good soul-wise. Connect me with the people, the friends, the connections, collaborations, opportunities, clients. Connect me with who I need to talk to next, or, I'm following my heart. And through that, I was guided here.
That's amazing. So for those the listeners that don't know about narcissistic behavior, can you explain what your definition of narcissistic behavior is?
So very simply put, if I could go back, because I spun my wheels for a long time wondering, how did he keep doing this to me? Why did I keep going in the same circles? Look for people who the red flags are, they will not take accountability. They cannot reflect and have empathy for how their actions impacted you negatively and even themselves. They always tend to be the victim in the stories.
Yes.
And they will love bomb you. So in the very beginning, oh, he was a match made in heaven. And so I should have known from the get-go. So, that's something to look out for, very heavily, because they mirror what you want to see.
Yeah.
And so they're telling you how much, they love you and how great you are. And of course you want to hear that, And so, yeah, I would say those are the biggest signs, biggest dead giveaways. Looking back, I should have known. And now I do know.
Yeah. And the other thing that, I would add to what you said is, the red flags are also, in addition, to what Marla said, that red flags are, when you are in an argument, when there's something is not going right in your relationship and you're trying to have a conversation about it, it's never a regular conversation. It's always, it gets escalated and it gets escalated very fast. And, there's a lot of blame that is happening. So
blame shifting,
not take accountability for their actions, but they blame you, for everything that is happening. So they make you the bad guy. They turn the table on you. And this happened to me a lot with my ex-husband, where, we would have this just nice time together, and all of a sudden, something he would do or say would bother me, and I would just want to have a nice, conversation about it and just, kind of see what that was about and understand his position. And then he would, before I knew it, the table would be reversed and it would just, the whole thing would blow up in my face. And I would be like, how did that happen? Like, wait, this is not what normal conversation should be like, like you should be able to have a conversation about what's bothering you without the other person manipulating you and turning the table on you and then gaslighting you and then, kind of criticizing you and just bringing in all the weaknesses that he knows about and putting it in your face.
Yeah.
And
then blaming your reaction too.
Yeah. And then blaming your reaction. So you got to look out for, are you able to have a conversation with this person, especially when they're an adult,
Yes. Can they take accountability? Yeah. That's one of the main
they take
things
accountability.
For sure.
And also, do they take the time to listen to your side of the story and to understand where you're coming from? Because in a relationship, it's all about understanding the other person, right? If we only see the world through our own lens, then we will never be able to see what our partner is experiencing in life, right? We're only going to be able to see our own way. And, every family is different. Every person is grown up with, your partner has grown up with a different family, different dynamic, maybe even a different nationality. Even if it's the same nationality, but maybe you had this very different upbringing. So you're going to see things in a different way, and you're going to have to be able to not just see your own way of life and the way you see the situation, but you need to see it from the other person's perspective. And this doesn't necessarily have to be a romantic partner. It could even be a friend. It could even be a boss. It could be any relationship, because you can have a narcissistic relationship outside of a romantic relationship.
Yeah.
So you got to be able to, kind of pick up on these red flags, no matter what relationship you're with. And so that you could tell, okay, am I in a narcissistic relationship? Because if so, and of course, in the, if it's a friendship or a marriage or, romantic partnership, you can walk away from it if the person is not willing to cooperate with you, which most narcissistic people will not, because they won't even admit that they are narcissistic, even if you give them clear examples of how they are narcissistic. I mean, point by point, I've done this with my brother.
That just infuriates them more.
Yeah, it does. And then I know my sister-in-law would tell me, you know, he comes and asks me, Paris, to send me this TikTok video with, about narcissistic behavior. Do you think she's talking about me? And I'm like laughing because I'm like, wow, seriously? You can't tell that I'm sending this to you. And I'm specifically saying I'm sending this to you so that you understand and that you're a narcissist and you need to seek help, get help, because you have a daughter, you have a wife, you know, you need to be responsible in these relationships. I mean, fine, you want to treat me poorly, go ahead. You can treat me poorly because I don't have to talk to you. I don't have to live with you. I'm an adult, live in my own home. I don't need to engage with you. But what about your poor wife? What about your poor daughter? You know, and you gotta change, you know, do it
Yeah.
for them. If you love them so much, you know, then take this action to help yourself, to heal yourself so that you could be a better spouse, so that you could be a better, you know, father. But his reaction is this video for me? This is like,
You're like, yeah, I think it is.
like,
Go ahead
oh
and watch
my
it and tell me
God,
what you think.
how much clearer do I need to be? I'm trying to help him. I have nothing to gain from this, right? Nothing to gain because I don't have to be in his life. But his poor wife and daughter do need to be in his life, you know, and they don't have a choice. I mean, you know, my sister-in-law has a choice, but she's chosen to stay with him and tolerate this misbehavior. And she recognizes, she's a very smart person. She recognizes that the behavior is wrong. And she recognizes that it's really damaging to her well-being, to her, not just emotionally, but physically as well.
Yeah.
But she chooses to stay. That's her prerogative. I don't have, you know, it doesn't affect me one way or another, except for of course, I feel sad for her that she's in this situation. And I wish that she would be in a better situation. However, I do, you know, I wish that my brother would take accountability and would see, you know, a specialist to help himself, you know, to get help because, you know, deep inside he's hurting, you know.
Yeah.
People who are narcissists, they're that way because they have so much pain in them. It's not that, you know, it's not that they were born this way. You know, I asked my therapist when I was seeing my therapist, for, you know, the leaks that were going through, in my home. There was numerous leaks that happened and I had to see a therapist because I was experiencing so many traumas. And I asked her, I said, what's going on? You know, can my brother ever change? You know, and she said, no, that narcissistic people don't even admit that they're narcissists, so they can't change. And I asked her, is this something that he was born with? Because I remember he was like this even when we were little. So it's not like all of a sudden as an adult, he's treating me like this. He used to treat me like this even when we were little. But of course, I didn't know about narcissism until recently, right? So I didn't know like that this is, I knew that the behavior was wrong, but I didn't know that it actually was, an illness. You know, I didn't know that, it's something that you're not actually born with. It's just something that's caused by, you know, by pain, some level of pain or trauma or something that happened to you as a child. In my brother's situation, I honestly don't know what could have happened to him because, like I said, this was even when we were little and living in Iran. So, you know, I could understand if it was post the fact that he got left behind in Iran when we left. I could understand all that, but it's not that way.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, so I just want the listeners to understand that the narcissistic person is never going to have a normal conversation with you when you're having problems in your relationship. It's not like you can talk to them and have a logical conversation with them. It's never going to be that way. And so that's a huge red flag for you. So you know right away, beyond the love bombing, because the love bombing may not happen if you're not in a romantic relationship, like with me, my brother. That never happened. He never love bombed me because I was his sister, right? That didn't ever happen. And also we were kids. However, the other things did happen. Like if he made a mistake and it was very clear that he made a mistake, he would never admit to it. He would never hold himself accountable for it. Not only that, but then he would turn the table on me. So this turning the table on you and making you feel like there's something with you is huge in this type of a relationship. This is what every single one of my experiences has been, where the person turns the table on me and they make me feel like I'm the one, there's something wrong with me, and that I'm the problem and they're here to rescue me, Yep.
They deflect and project.
Yeah. And then also they make you, the reason, like a lot of people say, okay, for example, in the instance with my sister-in-law, why would she stay with him? A lot of people ask me this question. Well, the reason is that he knows what she wants to hear. So he knows how to make it right. When they apologize, do they really mean it?
Nope.
Absolutely not. They do not mean it.
They say it to buy themselves more time. That's all it is.
And so to get you to stay, they'll do anything to get you to stay, including saying anything that you want to hear, as far as apologizing, as far as getting you gifts that you want, taking you to restaurants that you want to go to, taking you out, whatever it is that you want that they know would win you over to them, they will do it.
Yeah. And gifts is a huge thing. Watch out for being financially spoiled, right? We love to be financially spoiled as women, but a lot of times that is because, I know in my situation, it was because he knew how devious he was being behind my back. And so he felt guilty for what he was doing. And so I never heard the word no. I think I heard it one time in our marriage. And I was like, ew, I like that. And I think I ended up getting my way anyway, but but that is how much he would spoil me, because he knew what he was doing behind my back. And so that was his way of like, oh, okay, I've made it right by getting her this,
Mm-hmm. As we wrap up today's episode, I want to remind you that you have the power to create a bright and successful future for your highly sensitive child. Embrace their uniqueness, nurture their strengths, and provide them with the love and support they need. Together, we can pave a path to success that aligns with their sensitivity. Thank you for joining us today. And remember, you're not alone on this journey. We'll be here with more insights and inspiration in our next episode. Until then, keep believing in your child's potential, because they truly are extraordinary. Stay tuned, stay inspired, and stay committed to setting your child up for success in life. If you enjoyed this episode and found it helpful, please leave a review, share with other parents, and reach out to us with any topics you'd like us to cover in the future. To book a private coaching session with me, please visit my website at ParentingHSC.com.